Each week, nearly a dozen movies are released theatrically. 40 films a month, more than 400 a year. That's a plethora of cinema. Too much cinema. You'd have to be an addict to see all that. But don't fret. We've got you covered. This is CinemAddicts.
Hey everyone, it's another episode of CinemAddicts, a new week of CinemAddicts. This is for the week covering Friday, March 1st, 2024. This is episode 231. I'm joined by my betters, Eric Holmes and Bruce Purkey. We just finished our monthly Patreon for the month of February. Bruce, how did it go? Two classic movies that we covered, Blood In, Blood Out, aka Blood of Honor, or Bound by Honor, and also The Eight Immortals Restaurant, The Untold Story. You have some thoughts on those movies, right? Some thoughts.
I did. I had some thoughts.
Okay.
I thought I loved them so much.
You love them so much. Are you being sarcastic? I was rolling around
in the restaurant of the whatever it's called.
Well, Bruce will probably go to a restaurant this weekend. That's when he's going to celebrate his latest birthday. Happy birthday, Bruce Purkey, today, as you're recording this podcast. So you just
10 years away from the perfect birthday.
Oh,
we'll see if we're still doing that. If I'm still around and we're still around in 10 years, Eric will he'll be able to have a perfect celebration with me.
Oh my gosh, I just looked on my notification. Bitcoin went to 62,000. 2 years ago, it was at 16,000. Why didn't you guys advise me to invest in Bitcoin? It's now at 62,000. Bruce, Eric, why don't you? Yeah,
I don't invest, or I don't recommend anyone invest in any sort of financial thing because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not the person to ask about that sort of thing.
Well, unfortunately, Eric, you're going to have to do your job because Bruce and I now nominate you as a final financial advisor for any of the monies coming into CinemAddicts. What do you say to that?
In that case, I would advise anyone listening to go to findyourfilmpodcast.com and buy up any sort of merch you find in there. Because financially, it would benefit the show.
Yes.
And we have shower curtains.
I was going to say, we're sitting on a bunch of shower curtains here, people.
FindYourFilmPodcast.com for our merch for CinemAddicts and Find Your Film. It could be really fun stuff. Also, for the month of March, we randomized it. None of us are Anderson Gowan, so we're not good at keeping the notes like Anderson does. And he was keeping notes on Patreon. I've got to go back and look if we covered this year. But if we didn't cover this year, if everything is fine, for March we will cover the year 2007 for our Patreon members. It'll be my choice this month, my movie pick, and the second pick will be a choice from our lovely, wonderful Patreon members. Also, final plug, CinemAddicts YouTube channel. Anything you want to say, Eric or Bruce, about the CinemAddicts YouTube channel? I don't know what to say. We have some movie interviews. Anything else? If you want to, go subscribe to our channel. Bruce and Eric, do you have anything interesting or insightful to say that I don't?
There's interviews and movie reviews, and it's on YouTube, as is Blood In, Blood Out. So when you're done watching Blood In, Blood Out, just click right over to the CinemAddicts channel, which is probably in the recommends, I imagine.
Are you a director Taylor Hackford plant? Because you have been mentioning Blood In, Blood Out all throughout Patreon, thinking all roads lead to Blood In, Blood Out. I possibly do not. I don't disagree with you at all. I think I agree with you.
And
yes.
If you go to the Patreon episode of 1993, I would recommend a certain director might not want to go there.
Oh, that is a way to actually publicize our Patreon. Yes, someone, I think it was Bruce Purkey.
We won't mention it here, but there's a pretty spicy story Greg dropped on the Patreon episode.
So, really? Well, I like that. Thank you, Eric. Was that a little bit spicy that I dropped on that Patreon, Bruce?
It was the tea was spilled.
The tea was spilled. There is some tea spilled on our Patreon. So look, listeners, if you wanted to check out that story, it'll be uploaded, my little spicy story, along with, most importantly, our reviews of Blood In, Blood Out and the Eight Immortals Restaurant / The Untold Story.
The Untold Story, but yeah.
The Untold Story. And look, if you are not part of Patreon, the Eight Immortals Restaurant, The Untold Story, it's streaming on Canopy and a bunch of other things. And Eric, do not see this movie, The Eight Immortals Restaurant, The Untold Story, if you what?
If you don't like hanging out in red children's school or
there's a lot of violence with children, and there's a lot of violence, period, but Eric and Bruce talked about how the violence is depicted in our Patreon. Yeah, check out that thing. But it's a very interesting movie as well. So some good stuff. Yeah. So all right. Yeah. So that's it. That's it. That's all I'm gonna plug. We have some really interesting movies for this week. I think we have how many movies do we have? We have about we have some like three or four. Let's start off with the big one this week. I think it's the big one. Bruce, you and I saw it. It's called Shayda and Zara Amir Ibrahimini or Ibrahimi. I got to look up how to pronounce her name, and that's my fault. She is a very wonderful actress. She was in Holy Spider. All three of us loved Holy Spider. And here, this movie is set in 1995, Australia. She is an Iranian woman who has a daughter, and she finds refuge in a women's shelter in some remote area of Australia to hide from her husband. She wants a divorce from him, but things in Iran, the customs there, divorce is very hard to come by, and it's very frowned upon, at least from the year 1995. I don't know how it is today, some almost 30 years later. Maybe it's the same. Who knows? But this movie is sort of a a little microscopic look into the customs of Iran, Iranian New Year. You get to see a little bit of customs, the insights into the culture, but most importantly, you get to see this woman try to ultimately divorce her husband, lead a good life with her daughter. It's a family drama, but it's an elevated family drama, which I feel it's thanks to the great lead performance. And you're very locked in to her plight and her daughter's plight. And I think, Bruce, you mentioned some movies give you anxiety. This movie gave me anxiety all the way through because I was really worried about their fate in Shayda. Now, what are your thoughts on the movie, Bruce?
Overall, positive on this one. So a couple things to mention right out the gate. Like you talked about, she is trying to separate herself, but it takes a while to do that. And there's, kind of a limited, I guess you'd call it visitation while they're still in the process of possibly divorcing. And what makes it really interesting is kind of this dynamic of she is concerned that, her daughter could be abducted any moment. You never know. And there is a Iranian community there, but which she does interact with, but every time she interacts with them, it seems like there's always this danger that interaction will be seen by the wrong people, or what happens if she interacts with them might cause judgment upon her or the people she's still friends with. Get judged as well. In fact, I think this movie, if I remember correctly, it opens with them at an airport, and the mom is describing to the daughter, like, if you see this spot, she's basically training her. So if she's about to get abducted, what to do to try to not get abducted and taken out of the country through the airport. So that's kind of the basic setup, and the setup is very good. And she's in this sort of a shelter.
Yeah.
A whole variety, almost international, I guess it would be. Everyone there seems like from a different country, except Australia. And maybe there's one or two people from Australia, but everyone else is from like Britain or other countries. And I think the only drawback to this is it's very leisurely. Like even though there is that kind of level of tension throughout, there's also a lot of hanging out. Mother's hanging out with a daughter, and it's charming and it's interesting, and you're finding out about them, and you're finding out, like you said, about customs, and also kind of how she's tentatively trying to navigate around what her current feelings for the father is, and the daughter kind of knows something's up, but also the daughter, still loves her dad too. So, but I think a lot of that, I don't know, there's a level there that could have, I think, narratively been a little more
tighter,
engaging.
Engaging.
Or something. Yeah. I feel like I don't want this to be stereotypical, like Lifetime movie. I don't want this to be like, melodramatically heightened, but at the same time, I kind of wanted it to move along a little bit too. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I apologize. Zara Amir Ibrahimi. Okay, and again, she was in Holy Spider. We all loved it, and she is fantastic in this movie. Bruce, you have a really good point. It does get a little bit too leisurely at times. I was fine with that because whenever it was leisurely, I was halfway nervous, not 100%.
Yeah,
I was not 100% nervous about their plight. Just knowing that confrontations would come for the just proverbial third act. We all know what's going to happen in this type of movie. The movie is directed by Nura Niyasari, and she also wrote this, and it's inspired by her own life growing up too. Very personal, introspective movie, family drama, excellent lead performance. The daughter is fantastic as well, very cute, and she handles the emotional stuff very good as well. But it's one of these things, if you have a proclivity to watching these empowering family dramas in your local cinema, it could be catnip for you. I'll be honest, family dramas of this ilk are not my cup of tea, but thanks to Zaramir Ibrahimi's wonderful performance, first-rate performance, along with really good storytelling, 4 stars for me. Just excellent drama. Really enjoyed the ending, which for me was subtle and memorable. And yeah, I can see where you're thinking about some of the leisurely points. I want to see what, when people see it, what they really think of this movie. But I was surprised at how much I really loved Shayda. Your final thoughts, Bruce, and rating.
Yeah, I'm probably 3.5 stars in this one. Definitely a solid movie. I feel like there's something, and I'm not the filmmaker, so I can't figure out what that is. There's something that to me could have just put it over the top. Little subtle moments that worked really, really well, like when she's got an interpreter. She has to have an interpreter to put down her thoughts or actually her recollections of what happened. And at one point, she has an interpreter that says her name, and she never said what her name was. So just that fact makes her want to just shut it down because the interpreter might be actually spying for her husband. Stuff like that is really amazing. I feel like I wanted a little more of that kind of all the way throughout. But it's a good movie, and for some people, this is going to be a 5-star movie. I think especially if they have a history personally of anything even relating to this, I think it's going to hit them pretty hard.
And the husband, just no disrespect here, I want to throw him out the window. Personally, he's pretty much a jerk. That's not a spoiler. I just hate the guy. So
I do kind of want to call out they did a great job with the husband, because at first he doesn't seem like he seems. I mean, even though you kind of heard the story about him already, for the first few times you see him, he seems pretty reasonable. You know, pretty.
And he's smart, hardworking, right?
Smart, hardworking, friendly. Seems to love his daughter. All those things that'll kind of suck you back into thinking like, well, maybe she's being paranoid. Maybe she's being a little bit over emotional about this. All those kind of things that you hear. But then his true colors start to come out, and not so much.
you can purely love someone and still want to manipulate them. And this is where this guy comes from. He's one of these kind of weird, just sociopaths. So sometimes the people you love, you can also hurt. So Bruce and Eric, watch out. I'm coming for you. Even though as much as I love both of you, there's might be some horrible intentions. So just shit, I may teach you some things, So just, you should watch that, Eric. Learn some lessons on this movie. And you missed a really good performance by Zaramir Ibrahimi, but you're excused because you've seen 20 movies and have been doing a lot of interviews in the last week, Eric. You've been doing way too many things. Also, Eric and I both saw this movie that we really can't talk about right now. So it's a movie starring Russell Crowe. We're not going to mention the name of the movie at all, Sleeping Dogs, but we're going to talk about it in March 22nd. It's going to be really interesting. So wait for that. And Eric and I will be also doing a movie. We'll also be covering that Russell Crowe movie, doing spoilers for the week of March 22nd for that movie, who we can't mention right now, Sleeping Dogs. So moving on forward, that is yes.
Real quick. Well, first of all, what was your thing for the rating for the
Shayda? That's first of all, that's none of your business, CinemAddicts listeners. It's only me and Bruce. It's a secret rating that we have for each other for Shayda. But great
4
question.
stars, gotcha.
How dare you, Eric? How dare you? Yeah, 4 stars from me, from Greg Zuzavasti, the predictable one out of the 3. 4 stars from me for Shayda.
But the movie that we're not supposed to talk about for another couple weeks, the Sleeping Dogs. We'll definitely be talking about that in a couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to it. But interviewed the director, and he mentioned that his wife has a podcast called "Was I in a Cult?" Ooh. And I started, as soon as I got done with the title alone, I'm like, I gotta listen to this, and I put it in. The opening line was, "This episode contains sexual references, strong language, and comical justifications for marrying multiple teenagers. Enjoy."
Oh,
so if that doesn't sell you on it, I don't know what to tell you.
And one more time, Eric, what is the name of that podcast from the wife of Adam Cooper?
Was I in a cult?
Was I in a cult?
Yeah, the whole point of it is that I guess they have interviews with people or snippets from people that used to be in a cult. And I guess the whole idea is that when you're in a cult, you might not know you're in a cult,
Okay.
because it's just stuff around you seems normal, even though people looking from the outside in are like, no, that's not normal.
That's
I
interesting.
mean, like
yeah.
if you have a red hat and it says "Make America," I'm not.
I mean, that's certainly a cult.
Anyways, we love everyone here on the podcast. We service everyone, right? Right, folks?
Hey,
Yes.
I service everyone. I don't know about you, Greg.
Anyways, just
as long as they're of age and it's consensual, then maybe.
There you go. See,
then maybe,
I
yes.
service everyone who wants to be serviced. How's that?
happy birthday, Bruce. Innuendos
Legally.
aside, what is your rating on?
I'm only 59 this year, so calm down, people.
what you're rating on Shayda, Bruce?
Oh, 3.5.
Oh yeah, 3.5. 3.5 for Bruce, 4 for me. I apologize that you said that before. I need to listen more. I need to listen better. Shayda, again, it's in theaters this Friday. Tell us what you think of this movie. Great performance. 3.5 for Bruce and 4 for me. I'm going to take a little siesta. I'm going to think really beautiful thoughts because now it's Eric Holmes' time with Bruce Purkey as they venture into the world of Conan the Barbarian. Is it Conan the Barbarian? Or is she Conan? Wait. She is Conaan. What is this movie about, Eric? Tell us about the synopsis.
Hey.
Bruce, take it over.
Well,
You do this, Eric. I'm like, why do I hear this?
so this is the new movie by Bertrand Mandico, who previously has done The Wild Boys and After Blue. And if you've seen Wild Boys or After Blue, you know that Bertrand's movies are insane, I guess would probably be a good and they also tend to lean towards non-binary characters. There's definitely a lot of themes of that in there. This is a Conan movie, I guess. It's let's see if I can do this. So it's what was the Rainier.
Oh, Rainier, the dog person?
Yeah,
lady?
the dog demon thing. They kind of follow Conan throughout different eras of history, and each Conan is a different person. And they die, and then they skip ahead, and then they find another Conan, and then there's like some weird kind of sexual love things between Rainier and all the different Conans.
You're doing as good as I can do. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. This was the pitch that got the movie greenlit, by the way. But yeah, this is very difficult to so I think this was probably over a year ago now, where I took some shrooms and started reviewing a movie. I should have done it to this.
Oh
Because
my gosh.
this is just one of those like bonkers movies, like Wild Boys or After Blue. Watch Wild Boys or After Blue, and then watch Conan. It's definitely got its own kind of look to it. There's like always like how like Tony Scott, like his movies always have like a lot of haze in the background and kind of adds to the atmosphere. Bertrand always seems to have that Tony Scott haze, but instead of haze, it's like glitter.
Yes.
And there's like and like they tend to switch back and forth between black and white and color, and the color always looks kind of like muted, like it's shot on 16 millimeter. Or it's like got that really kind of muted pastel colors. There's a lot of sexuality in all their movies, including this one. And there's also a lot of violence and blood. It's just kind of the only thing that's really difficult about it is explaining what it is, because that I can't really do. It's a Conan adaptation, sort of, but it's a Conan adaptation through time. And also, like with this one, with all of them, like I watched some movies and I feel like it's like there's like some point to this, and I can't figure it out, and this one's no different. But I enjoy watching. I just like Bertrand's kind of uh, style, I guess, if you want to call it that. I mean, you definitely call it. I love the character of Rainier. Um, Such a strange character, but love following them. And yeah, I would like to see more movies with sexual dog demons in them.
Bruce, you concur? You concur on the aesthetic and
Yeah, the aesthetic. I would try to throw my hat in the ring on trying to describe it. I agree with the kind of the haziness. The other thing about the films of this director is they always tend to be kind of like you could tell they're on sets. Like they're almost constructed like fantastical. Tell me what you think about this, Eric. They're like fantastical settings, but you can tell they're on a set. They're not outside in the
kind of like Ridley Scott's Legend.
Yeah,
you know they're not on location. It's obvious they're on set,
Right.
but it still looks kind of like full, I guess.
Yeah, and this one, I think, for me, what was kind of going on with it, once again, it's really hard because it's so. This is the kind of movie that if you watch a movie and say that was too artsy for me, that was just too much into its head. This is not the kind of movie for you because this movie is so its own weird, bizarre version of the world, and I could imagine a lot of people just phasing out right out of the gate. How to describe what I think it's doing?
But
here,
the thing is, like, it's definitely artsy, like you mentioned. It's not
Yeah.
boring. Like
Right.
there's movies that like hang on shots forever. You
True.
know, Bad Luck Banging comes to mind. Where it's like there's nothing going on here. With Bertrand Mandico's movies, it's like, oh, there's a lot going on here. Almost too much going on because it's hard to make sense of all of it.
Yeah, it's almost like there's like a glitter haze, like you talked about, that like almost a disco, like it was formed through a disco filter. If there's a disco filter, this has it. But to me, this one's kind of all about like, so each age of Conan that we have here, like it started out and I thought, well, this is going to be like this weird kind of version of the Conan story that we're used to, but it didn't. It started only like the very beginning section was kind of that. And then that age of Conan meets the next age of Conan and kills the first Conan. So each age is like killing off the previous age, and then a new actor is playing the Conan in the next age. And I feel like each age is something about like some big version of violence or control in the world, because there's definitely certain commentaries going on about different aspects of society by the time you get to the end of this. And like you said, can I fully picture what's going on there? But I wasn't bored. I was definitely, it was just odd. It was crazy and weird. And I don't know. I love this director just for the fact that they are like David Lynch, not like in as far as the style, but in the same way that David Lynch is definitely doing his own thing. And you can never doubt that David Lynch is putting the vision he wants on the screen. I feel like this director is putting their vision on the screen. Absolutely.
This is like a live action version of a Ralph Bakshi movie, but with more glitter.
I go with that. That's good.
Okay,
Yes.
so that is She Is Conan, and just for the purposes of this episode, from March 1st through the 5th, it is playing in Los Angeles at the Los Feliz 3. From March 2nd through the 7th, it will be playing it in Winnipeg, Manitoba at the Dave Barber Cinematheque. And through the rest of the month, it'll have different dates as well. I will put the link where you can find She Is Conan if it's playing in your neck of the woods. I will have a link to the site. Yes.
If midnight movies are still a thing, the movies made by this director should be midnight movies. There
Yes.
should be people dressing up in costume and going to see these movies high off their asses on something.
And there's also it's
Shrooms.
coming.
All
Yeah,
shrooms.
it's also coming out on limited edition Blu-ray, and pre-order the DVD or Blu-ray. So make sure, Eric, you're on top of that. If you want to get the physical media, make sure you actually email our contact for that as well. Who knows? Maybe she might have some copies to give away. Who knows? I don't know.
I'm going to go to Best Buy to. Oh wait, no, we can't do. I'm going to go to Walmart and wait. Oh, do they do that? No. I'm going to go to Entertain Mart when the Blu-ray comes out.
Entertainment, yeah. Or the She Is Conan site. That said, what is your rating on She Is Conan, Eric?
I think this is 5 stars, but
Yeah,
I should probably go 3-star banger because there are people that will absolutely hate this, but I really like the Bertrand's aesthetic, and this one's no different. I love the character of Rainier, and hopefully I'll get a chance to watch this like 10 more times and kind of parse out what the movie's trying to tell me because that I don't know. I just know I enjoyed watching it a lot.
3-star banger from Eric Holmes. What about you, Bruce?
I'm more of the fascinated than love side of it. I'm definitely, though, I would say 3-star banger. I think this is the kind of movie that you can't suggest to many people unless you really know their taste. Because I feel like a lot of people won't like this movie. So this is a very particular flavor.
I will say this, after Blue and Wild Boys are both available, watch either one of those two.
Yes.
And if you're watching that going, oh, I kind of dig this, go watch She Is Conaan when it's playing theaters. Because now's your chance, because it's unlikely that any other movies will ever get a kind of a, if you catch it in theaters on the Wednesday at noon, whenever they decide to show it, then that's probably your first and only chance to do so. So yeah, check out Bertrand's older movies, and if they seem like something you dig, now's your chance to see She Is Conaan in a theater if it's playing near you.
Okay, so that's She Is Conaan. Some interesting ratings. Eric gives it 3. They both 3-star bangers for both Bruce and Eric secretly also gives it 5 stars because he loves this movie so much. Let's see if Eric and Bruce love this movie called Amelia's Children, which hits theaters and is available on demand on March 1st. Amelia's Children is I would like to say, deft mixture of comedy and horror. We'll see if Bruce and Eric agree with the fact that I really love the balance of it. It centers on this guy named Edward, played by Carloto Cota. And Edward is looking for his biological family. And he has this, he gets this present from his girlfriend, played by Bridget Lundy Payne, where he actually puts his finger in some kind of contraption, takes its blood, and it can find his family. Well, his family lives in northern Portugal, this remote section in this beautiful house. And he gets to actually reunite with his twin brother, played by Carloto Cota, and also gets to meet his mother, Amelia. The movie actually starts with a younger Amelia, played by Alba Baptista. You actually see her with the 2 babies, and she goes a little bit nuts when someone tries to steal one of her babies. That's the intro of the movie. And then it cuts to Edward's search for his own family. That is the premise. So Edward and his girlfriend, they travel to Portugal. They meet the mother and the brother, and both of them seem a little bit left or right. They don't seem very completely centered emotionally. They're very eccentric, and that is the premise of Amelia's Children. Eventually they realize that Mommy Dearest and the brother, they might want them in the house for some ulterior motives. Running at 92 minutes, directed and written by Gabriel Abrantes. I really enjoyed this movie. I laughed. I just basically coaxed Bruce into watching this movie, even though, like Eric, he's seen so many movies this week. I just told him there is one scene in the 3rd act that you will not be able to unsee, and just for that scene, please watch this movie. I don't know, Bruce, if you are hating me for actually recommending this movie to you. What is your thoughts on Amelia's Children?
Overall, good, but also a lot of missed opportunity here for me in my book on this one. First of all, we did not mention the look of the mom. We probably should. The mom looks like, well, you know how someone who's had so much plastic surgery and what would you say? She's probably in her 60s, late 50s, something like that. Probably about my age. But she's trying to look like she was 20, and instead she's got the huge lips that are all messed up, and she just looks unnaturally odd. And right out of the gate, that makes an impression when you first see her. You're like, oh boy. And she'll keep smiling and kind of looking at people, just gazing at them. You're like, oh, what's going on here? Anyway, my main point about this is I love the setup and I love the character. So here you got this classic long lost, family calls you back to their manor, this almost this gothic manor, and he goes there with his girlfriend, and right out the gate things are weird and things get weirder, and it's like the whole point of a movie like this is like, what's the secret, what's going to happen, and how is this going to play out. And where it let me down a little bit was, I would say, about the 2/3 mark or something like that. Somebody gives an expedition dump or after a little discovery that basically lets you know what's essentially going on in that house, and all of the stuff they told you is what's going on in that house. And all of that stuff that's going on in that house is kind of like versions of stuff you've seen a lot before, and it plays out kind of like that. Whereas there was opportunity for so much weirdness to happen here that I wished would have happened here. Now, you mentioned a specific moment. That was definitely a touch of weirdness that I appreciated quite a bit. And there's another one with a dance. I'll just say there's a dance. That was a really great, weird moment.
I like Bossa Nova. If you like Bossa Nova, right?
There should have been a lot more of that kind of stuff. And that kind of stuff should have happened in like the second act. So the third act could have just gone fully off the rails. I wanted all kinds of weird lore. I wanted to know how this stuff was happening. When stuff was explained to me that was happening, they just said, well, this is what's happening. Did we ever really see that? No, not really. Some little dreams things and stuff, but we never really understood exactly how that worked. And we never understood exactly what the current goal was. So I felt a little let down in that way. Overall, though, I would say it's a mild to the plus side, I guess.
Very good. Eric, do you agree that maybe it should have gone a little bit towards the crazy and campier stuff and more world building around Amelia's children?
I definitely would have liked more crazy, but I think the amount of crazy we got is pretty good. I kind of see this as a movie. Is this a wide release or what's the?
Yeah, in theaters and on demand on Friday.
Yeah, this should be a movie that they push, because like I totally see this as a movie like just being a hit with mainstream audiences. Like this could be another kind of Conjuring movie, or another Paranormal Activity is a bad example because it's found footage, and this is very much not that. But I'm just talking about like how audience sort of receives movies like this. I think people eat this movie right up. And when we talked about Orphan First, actually Orphan would be another example of that, but Orphan First Kill, like that was one of those, like I just watched the movie and I just did not get it. And I was like, oh, this movie sucks. And then the movie comes out and everyone just loves it. Look, if you love Orphan First Kill, this one's a no-brainer. This is like the good version of those kind of movies. And I just wonder if they'll find the audience. But I guess if it's going to theater and VOD at the same time, then who knows? As far as the movie itself, I don't know. Things that I didn't think were spoilers apparently were spoilers, so I gotta tread
let me
carefully.
ask you, do you think that was a spoiler? I thought that was a spoiler.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Well,
there's one thing I definitely think is a spoiler. One thing so in the first scene when she gets her kids taken away,
sure,
and her eyes turn white.
Right. Yes. So that's not a spoiler.
Okay,
it's in the trailer.
So we're good.
But you don't know. You don't know what.
But you don't know. But you don't know
until later.
I got you. Cool. Well, there's definitely like some supernatural stuff afoot. Yes. I like the.
Bruce, you're gonna say something.
I wanted to say something about on the supernatural front. I'm not going to talk about what happens, but let's just say another thing that was a little bothersome to me was there's an ability that's shown.
Yes.
There's an ability that a character can do, and that ability is used later. But all through the movie, I was wondering, like, why isn't that ability used? It's kind of like, okay, you see Star Trek: The Next Generation, and what's her name, Deanna Troi, can like, oh, I feel like something's weird going. She only uses it when it makes sense to the plot, but she doesn't use it all the other times she could use it. It's like that in this movie.
Yeah.
There's an ability that could be used in a lot of different ways in this movie and never is. And I'm like, why are you not using this ability all the time?
I know what ability you're talking about. You're talking about Gabriel Abrante's ability to make an awesome movie, and he does it. He does it. No, correct.
I kind of see what you're talking about, but that's and even with Deanna Troi, like that's one of those things where it's like You say it, and I'm like, yep, I'm with you. Makes sense. Never crossed my mind once until you just said it. Like, like
Good
even with the
points.
Deanna Troy, like totally makes sense that you said it. But like, as I'm watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, it never came to mind. The the thing that they do in this never like I was just kind of
Okay.
into the thing with the characters and everything that part
But the
never
things
even
that
crossed
bothered
my
me
mind.
this movie were all the tropey things that I don't like to see in these movies, which is like people not leaving when obviously they should leave and doing things when they obviously do things. But those solutions could have been solved with that ability because could have explained why they didn't do things they didn't do because
I
someone else could have kept them from doing things.
I think that's still going on. It's just not apparent. I can't get
Hmm.
into it more without getting into spoilers, but there's
I know what
a,
you're saying, but they didn't.
yeah.
If that's the case, they didn't really like tell us that that's actually happening. So
Well, these are things that usually go right over my head. I'm just saying I picked up on that. I think that's
Can we agree
yeah.
though? Can we agree on one thing? Can we agree?
Let's talk
Can
about
we?
something else because
Can
I'm
we?
about to give stuff away.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, can we agree on one thing? Annabella Morera, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. Annabella Morera
Yeah.
as Amelia. And Eric, you were very good in your interview with Gabriel, and you were mentioning that there are two women. This is not a spoiler, by the way. There are two women who play Amelia, but that second woman, Annabella Morera, as Amelia with the sort of plastic surgery stuff. Fantastic. I
So
loved her. My complaint, I have a complaint about this movie. I just wanted her in every single scene in this movie. She's so awesome. I loved,
so
but yes,
first of all, let's talk about Alba Baptista. Not in this much, but
she's
was
awesome.
also in.
Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. She's
There you
awesome.
go. There you go.
She's amazing. Great.
But
Shows the breadth of her work. Shows the breadth of her work. She's good in this.
but
Yes.
I bring this up in the interview because the Amelia older Amelia has like the plastic surgery done.
Yeah.
And it's like the bad plastic surgery, like, oh,
Yeah.
your surgeon didn't do you any favors. I hope you didn't pay him too much. But this didn't come across in the movie, but in the interview where the Gabriel was talking about why the plastic surgery, I really love that concept. It's kind of like one of those things that's like uh, if you're writing a script, you might have like a little note for the actor or a note for the character that never makes it to the movie, but it's still kind of cool that it's there. That's kind of one of those sort of things for me.
We'll be uploading that interview.
We'll talk about that and more in the spoilers, but yeah,
Yeah, a couple of
I
things.
did like the angle, the plastic surgery angle to it.
Eric, you can tell from Eric's the tenor of his voice. He's so excited about Amelia's children. He will carry on that excitement with after we record this. Me and Eric will be. Well, Bruce can't be with us because we want to make sure that he celebrates his birthday fully with his family.
so
Me and
funny.
Eric, we're going to talk about the spoilers for Amelia's children. For our exclusively for our Patreon members, they're going to get early access. Patreon members, you get these new movies that we're going to do spoilers for the week of its opening release, and then for the rest of our Cinematics listeners who subscribe to our YouTube channel, we release the spoilers a week later. So Amelia's Children for non-Patreon members, you'll get it for the second week of its release in theaters, or most importantly on demand. I think that's how a lot of you people will see Amelia's Children. I really love this movie. I thought it was campy. I actually agree with Bruce that I wish it went a little bit more crazy and camp, and Eric says that too. But I love the slow burn thriller aspect of it. The third act is fantastic. And my only complaint is I could have seen another half hour of Amelia's Children. 4 stars for me. 4 stars. Bruce.
I actually agree with Eric that this could actually be like kind of be a broad appeal, sort of a minor hit. To me, that's kind of the drawback to it is that what makes it that is that it kind of goes in a more general way than I wanted it to go. I wanted it to go weirder. So for me, it's only 3 stars with some great performances and some great concepts. Just done a little more with it.
Fair. What about you, Eric?
I'm kind of teetering between 3.5 and 4.
Hmm.
But we saw this, saw She Is Conaan, saw Blood and Blood Out. I'm feeling generous. I'll teeter towards 4 only because, again, I think this is going to be, if this gets in front of enough eyes, I think this one's going to be a crowd pleaser. And if this is going to be the new kind of Conjuring or new Orphan thing going forward, I'd much rather see something like this get eyes on it as opposed to Orphan and Conjuring, which I didn't really care for either one of them.
And by the way, before we end on this, Annabella Moreira, we mentioned her as Amelia. Eric, you mentioned Alba Baptista. Towards the top, we talked about Carloto Cotta. He plays Ed, and the brother. Mentioned all these people, but the actual lead actor in this movie is Bridget Lundy Payne, Riley. She plays the girlfriend of Ed. You see what unfolds before her eyes. So most of the movie is a slow burn thriller. So it might be prohibitive if you want action upon action, you're not going to get it with this movie. But if you want a slow burn with a really great knockout third act, in my opinion, this is definitely worth a watch. And again, really interesting mixture of comedy and horror. Bruce Purkey gave it 3 stars. Eric and I give it 4 stars. Tell us what you think of Amelia's Children. Again, in theaters and on VOD on Friday, March 1st. Now it is Bruce Purkey's turn for the lightning round of recommendations of stuff that you've watched the past week. What do you got?
Not too much. I got a little bit of TV. I just started watching a new series, which I think there's about 4 episodes on Apple TV right now. But I mostly wanted to mention it because it stars one of our favorites, Noomi. We never remember how their name.
Noomi Rapace. Yes, very good. Yeah.
That's her last name's made up. I believe we talked about.
Noomi
her and her husband got married and decided to make up their last name.
Oh, very cool.
That's right.
Very cool, Eric. Yeah.
So anyway, it's called Constellation. It's pretty cool. I would say the first 2 episodes, check them out because she's on the International Space Station, and let's just say an accident happens, and there's only enough space on one of the capsules to get 3 of the 4 of them off. So she's left behind, and she has 24 hours to try to get the other capsule usable to get off. But let's just say there are other odd quantum science things happening on this that cause some rifts in possible time or alternate dimensions and stuff. It's a pretty interesting movie or series so far. Another series which is completed, you can watch the whole thing, is called Boy Swallows Universe. That's on Netflix. The title, I almost didn't watch it. It sounds like, this is some little kids show or whatever. This is almost like an Australian version, to some degrees, a version of Shameless. If you ever watched that show, Shameless.
Yes.
Where basically it starts out and you have this kid, he's probably about 11 or 12. And he's basically he's living in a family of crime, and all this, and right out of the gate, his house is basically invaded by other bad guys who want to find out information that the stepdad has been involved in. And the main kid has a knife held over his hand, and they're going to threaten to cut off one of his fingers if they don't give him the information. And that just kind of sets you up for the beginning of what's happening here. There's a ton of heart. There's a ton of humor. It's an epic story that takes place from the time he's about 12 till when he's in his 20s, over about 6 or 7 episodes. Quite good. Really interesting. Brian Brown, if you remember him.
Yeah, I love him. FX. Thornbirds.
Yes. He has a great starring role, or not starring role, but side role in this as a criminal who was known for escaping from this prison many times. And he's kind of this renowned criminal who's out now. And he's kind of one of his friends. And I guess that person, it was a real character in Australia, the one he's playing, thrown into this kind of fictional world. This is great if you like those kind of series that are limited, that have a beginning and an end, and are 1 season and only about 7 episodes long.
What's your rating on that?
That, I think I ended up going 4 stars for the whole thing. It could even go a little higher. It's really, really good. I can't really rate Constellation yet because I have to see how it kind of plays out. And then last but not least, I rewatched Dune today, in advance of seeing Dune 2 this weekend.
Did you watch it or experience it in all its majesty, Bruce? What did you?
What do you mean by that, sir?
No, just...
So originally, I think I gave it around 3 stars. I remember I was kind of, I thought it looked cool, but I was not fully engaged to it.
Too slow,
a little long, a little ponderous. Yeah. But I remember at the time, and I haven't listened to my review, but I feel like at the time I even thought, like, you know what, I might need to watch this again. I might just need to give it another chance. Watching it again, I really, really ended up loving it.
Oh, cool.
I think I think just having the story in my brain the first time, kind of like you do with Coen Brothers movies, like I didn't have to concentrate so much on the path of the story, and I could really let myself see the details, see the world building, still get the story there too, but just really watch what Villeneuve is doing with this creation of the whole everything in the Dune universe that he's showing us in the first movie. And I think it's actually pretty fantastic. Also, people advise me to do this, but I was already doing it anyway. But at home, you can put on subtitles. And I tell you, with Dune, the way it's mixed and how loud the music is, and also just the amount of detail that is in dialogue and exposition and just various things that are going on, it's really handy to have those subtitles on. And I go 5 stars on this now. I went from 3 to 5 stars.
Wow. Okay. Eric, are you speechless at Bruce's re-rating of Dune?
I was expecting his rating to go higher after watching the second one. I didn't know that would happen before watching the second one. I was not expecting that.
I don't see the tears of joy from your face, from your visage.
I can't. We're on Arrakis. I got to save up all my water.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. I have to say, I'm really excited to see it now. And just some of the details I saw this time, which I know people have talked about before. I mean, just the world of the Harkonnens that you see only tiny glimpses of in this movie. It's just so good. It's so amazing.
Eric, how did you, sorry, Eric, how were you able to hold back how were you able to humor me and Bruce when I don't think we did. No, I don't think we did the proverbial number 2 on Dune. We liked it, but we didn't love it as much as you did. You're a reader of the Frank Herbert books. How did you not stop? Were you surprised that we gave it a lukewarm review? And why did you not attack us two years ago and say, "What are you guys watching?"
I mean, first of all, it's half a movie, and it literally is, because he's adapting the book, and you get the first half of the book in the first movie, and the rest of the book in the second movie. So it's kind of like it's Christmas morning. Little Greg and Brucey are opening all their presents that Papa Eric gave them, but they didn't get the pony that they asked for, and they're all angry. But I know the pony's waiting in the backyard, and
very good outlook.
The pony being Dune too, like that. Like I know what's coming. Well, I don't know what's coming because I don't know how he chose to adapt it, but like based on what happens in the first Dune movie, a lot of stuff seems like they're going in that direction. So I'm real excited to see if he pulls it off in Dune 2. And judging by a lot of the early reviews, people are kind of blown away by it. But they're not saying exactly what. I wonder if they kept that ending from the book. And it's yeah. Blood and Blood Out. Watch Blood and Blood Out.
Which I did. I did the right preparation. Thank you.
Yeah, then read Dune, and you'll be like, the parallels are uncanny between these two.
That's amazing. Bruce, you and I are around the same age. Do you feel bad that maybe you have not read Dune? I feel sort of bad that I
actually have read Dune.
Oh, you have?
I read it when I was like 12 or something.
Okay.
So I don't remember it very well, as you might guess.
Okay, so that's 5 stars. Oh, yes, Eric.
I was going to say, I probably should save this, but Dune's one of the movies coming out this weekend. I know I'm going to watch it. I assume Bruce is. Greg, maybe. I think Dune.
Maybe. How dare you?
You don't like people, though. You don't like to go out.
Well, that's true. I don't like people, but guess what? On Fandango, I just ordered 11:30 a.m. on a Friday morning. So.
I think it would be a great idea to do a spoiler on Dune. And I kind of want to reread the book to get like kind of refreshed. Like I know Bruce and I did that a couple of times when we'd read something and then watch the movie version of it and kind of compare the two. I think it'd be fun
or whatever it was. Yeah,
we can do that.
I think it'd be fun to do that for Dune, especially after the second one's out. People have had a chance to see it, and then let's compare and contrast the two. I think it'd be fun.
Well, the spoiler stuff that we're doing for the CinemAddicts YouTube channel, a lot of that engineering is thanks to Eric Holmes. He had the great idea of putting early access for Patreon members, and then a week later giving access to members of our CinemAddicts YouTube channel. So eventually, Dune Part 2 will definitely be part of the spoiler discussion that we're going to have no matter what iteration of us 3, maybe all 3, maybe 2, maybe 1, maybe someone's looking in the mirror on a microphone. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have different kind of spoilers on our CinemAddicts YouTube channel. We love that kind of feedback. Yes. But I'm going to talk about feedback in a second. Yes, Eric.
If you're going to see Dune this weekend and
Yeah.
it's sold out and you can't. There's a movie called The Roundup, No Way Out. Don't know what it is. Haven't seen it, but it's starring Don Lee. If you've ever seen The Gangster, the Cop, the Devil, he's a guy that looks like a Jack Strzavosty. And so I always like when he pops up in movies. So maybe that's one to go check out.
Okay, very cool. And speaking of checking out, check out our CinemAddicts Facebook group. Some really interesting people there. Joseph Bridges, Matt Stillman, the wonderful guys over at Middle Class Film Class, Tyler Noe, Joseph Navarro. There's also Peter Beta, and of course Jason Kleberg from Force 5. Some really interesting people. Yes.
Something interesting going on between me and Jason Kleberg, by the way.
Oh, right. What are you guys doing?
We're gonna. Don't know how much. Well, screw it.
Don't tell Jason.
We're gonna. We're co-writing a script together.
Okay. All right.
We've had it. We've been recording them. We've been recording the Zoom meetings between us. So we don't know what we're doing with it yet, but we got an idea, and it's a great idea, and I cannot wait to say it. It's very early days, like we haven't even got a outline yet, but I'm excited to see what comes of that.
If you need representation, just hit up Bruce Purkey. He gets 10 to 20% of your commission.
There you go.
Right, Bruce? I'm your PR agent on that. You going to say something, Bruce?
Oh, yes. I was going to say what you need to do now is you need to put beeps between where and together when he talks about what he's doing there, and just leave it like that.
So, okay. Speaking of Eric Holmes, before we get to the end of the show and sort of a box mention, you could talk about that in a second. Bruce, a day ago, I posted a Facebook reel on our CinemAddicts Facebook page of Eric Holmes talking about Batman and Robin being his favorite movie of the Batman films. And I just wanted to share. I don't know if you saw this, if you saw the reel, Eric, but got some pretty nice views on our Facebook page. But here's the comments. Chris L. Neerlin said, the original Batman movie with Michael Keaton is the best. And then this other guy, Derek Day Pino, said, Batman and Robin, it's horrible. I almost jumped into traffic after watching it. And then I mentioned, I haven't seen it, Derek. Seen all the other ones, though, but may eventually get around to it just because of Eric's take. And Derek said, trust me, you'll hate it. So anyways, we love all of those wonderful recommendations.
I mean, the weird thing is there's a lot of people that say that, and I don't know if those specific people feel the same way, but like people give the Adam West Batman a pass and then just crap on Batman and Robin. They're the same thing. Yes. And then to say that like the Michael Keaton, like the Tim Burton Batman is like, no, those are the gritty dark ones. I'm like, really? Guy falls into acid and comes out with face paint, and now he's got super Joker powers. All right. He goes around with the balloon, gassing everyone to make them smile, and somehow that kills them. Not silly at all. Totally gritty and grounded in reality.
The one last comment.
A human penguin runs for office. No one bats an eye. Like that's the kind of gritty, realistic Batman. A woman who dies and gets licked by cats and then dances around in S&M gear.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's
gritty.
But no, Batman and Robin went too far. Now,
one more thing. Bruce, you and I enjoyed Mr. Organ. Do you remember enjoying Mr. Organ, the documentary? I gave it a good review. I think you gave it a pretty good review too. You liked it?
Yeah.
Well, there's one person out of our trio, our wonderful trio, who did not like it one bit. I forgot what that would be. You, Eric Holmes. I forgot the rating that you gave. I think you probably gave Mr. Organ.
You gave it like 1 or something. I think.
Yeah,
I think I gave it half star.
Half star. Okay. I just mentioned something about Eric Holmes and his Batman and Robin and all those people saying it sucks and everything. I will have a comment that's pro Eric Holmes and his take on Mr. Organ from Mitch McGinley. I think some on our YouTube. Do you think people who have experienced people like Mr. Organ, by the way, this is a documentary, are more likely to hate the film and found it boring, while those who have not experienced a Mr. Organ type in their personal life enjoyed it? I have had a few lighter versions of his personality type in my life. I found the movie frustrating and no payoff. So that person agreed with Eric.
That's probably 1,000% accurate. Yeah, like if you haven't come across a lot of people like that, then maybe it's like kind of like watching a car wreck. Like, oh, what's this? actually dealt like in person with many people like that, and I hate them. So to watch a movie about them, knowing full well that they'll sit back and go, hey, they made a movie about me, and now they're talking about it on the podcast again. Like it just makes my blood boil. But no, that take is completely accurate, I think.
Very cool, Eric Holmes. Now, in all fairness, Bruce and I liked it. This person he's on Team Eric Holmes for Mr. Organ. I don't know where it's streaming, but again, it's directed by tickled filmmaker David Fryer. If you get a chance to see Mr. Organ, tell us what you think of the movie. Before we go, yes.
I also want to, I mentioned this before, David Farrier, I have no problem with him. He's a great filmmaker. All my hate of the movie deals 100% with
Mr. Organ.
with the subject matter, not the filmmaker themselves. He's a talented filmmaker. The fact that he made a watchable movie about such a boring subject is a testament to that. But yeah,
Bruce Purkey, what's your box pick for next week? What are you going to be covering?
Prince of the City by Sidney Lumet. Sorry, my brain's not working anymore.
No worries, no worries. You're ready for some party favors? You're ready to enjoy your birthday? You're happy? Oh, Prince of the City DVD, which Eric Holmes. How long have you had that again? You saw that when did you purchase
up a couple? Not last week, but the week when it was after Bruce drove from the box, which I think was a couple weeks ago at this point.
Mm-hmm. That is Prince of the City, directed by Sidney Lumet, starring Treat Williams and the late Jerry Orbach. Also, the late Treat Williams, rest in peace. Check out our review next week here on CinemAddicts, and that'll be very interesting. Final thoughts, Bruce Purkey.
No, that's just we gave a lot of thoughts in this episode. I don't have anything else. I'm thoughted out.
He's thought it out. He's ready to blow out the candles for his 40th birthday.
Sounds kind of ominous. He's ready to blow out the candles now. He's so old. He just blow them out.
Service and blow them out. Service them and blow them out, Bruce.
Take the headphone off and just see how much smoke comes out.
I was going to say on that
Wheezing
note.
Away.
Anyways, I'm not going to say on that note. We love you guys. And, of course, here's Claire.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining CinemAddicts.